Richmond, and one was in El Monte, California, in Southern California. Two small counties, areas that had legislation that would put a tax on soda pop, a small tax on soda pop. The American Beverage Association spent $3 million in Richmond defeating this bill. Now, that's the best thing economically that's happened to Richmond in a long time, actually. $3 million poured into that. That's over $200 a vote. Now, why would the American Beverage Association, which, by the way, is funded entirely by Coke and Pepsi, it doesn't get any funds from green tea groups, you know, beverages that you might like or I might like. It's all soda pop companies. And why were they pouring $3 million, $200 a vote into Richmond to defeat this legislation? Why did they pour $2 million into El Monte, another small area? Another, by the way, low-income area, in order to defeat the similar legislation there. Because they don't, is it because they care about the people and they don't want them to have to pay the tax? Did Monsanto actually spend this money to defeat 37 because they were concerned about the food budgets of the California public? No, they want to control what you think. They want to control what you eat. They want to control what you do. They want to control what you're allowed to be aware of. What No on 37 did is temporarily abated a rising tide. We may have lost that battle. We will win the war. This election, you know, there were 4 states that passed legislation legalizing gay marriage. After 32 failed attempts to do that. 32 failed attempts. California's 37 was one of those, maybe it's the 32nd one. Before, I see Washington State, by the way, soon becoming the first state to pass legislation that will mandate GMO labeling. And what's involved in this? It's not just genetically engineered foods, you know. That's why Monsanto is so involved in this. But the whole industrial food system depends on your eating in the dark. Depends on your ignorance. Now, there's a saying that ignorance is bliss, which I don't think is true in this case, because I think in this situation, ignorance is subservience. It's subordination to Monsanto's agenda. It is acquiescence to our own unawareness. And there is a war on awareness going on. And sometimes it's the mainstream media that perpetrates that war, that perpetuates the ignorance. We look to the mainstream media for knowledge, for information, for clarity. And thank God that there's an Amy Goodman in Democracy Now! And other independent media. Because sometimes the mainstream media really fails us. And 37 was a case in point. Nearly every major newspaper in the state endorsed the No on 37 vote, including the LA Times and the San Francisco Chronicle. Why? Why did they do that when the polls were originally showing 70% support for 37? Why did they do that? Well, I have an answer. The newspapers today are under tremendous financial stress. They've lost almost all of their classified ad revenue to Craigslist and other online sources. Their home subscription levels are way down. Their only reliable source of income right now are food ads from the Grocery Manufacturers Association and the junk food companies that use GMOs in their processed foods, in their packaged foods, in their high markup foods, which are the ones that they advertise. So I think the newspapers were protecting their advertising income, protecting their advertisers, rather than genuinely supporting and honoring the public good. And it was effective because they all did that. But we are seeing the tide turn, and it's turning in so many ways. and it's turning in each of our hearts, and it's turning in each of our minds. And sometimes when something like 37 fails, we get angry. I want you to not be ashamed if you're angry. I want you to not be ashamed if you're heartbroken. But I want you, if you're heartbroken or if you're angry and if you're frustrated and if you feel sometimes like giving up, to honor those feelings and go and feel all that pain and wake up the next morning and do what needs to be done. Because we are going to do this, and we're going to do it together. And that's one of the reasons we're here right now and this weekend and at the Green Festival, is to draw support, to see all the vendors and the businesses that are actually working in harmony with the earth, developing products and services that acknowledge our interrelationship to the planet, our interdependence with all of its biosystems. And with